Rain began falling over Fort Liberty just before sunrise, turning the concrete roads slick and dark. Recruits ran across the parade ground, shouting cadence, while transport trucks rumbled past the barracks. Everything looked normal, disciplined, controlled, exactly how a military base was supposed to look. But inside Barracks C, nothing felt normal anymore. Private Emily Carter sat on the edge of her bunk, her hands resting on her knees, eyes fixed on the small metal tag hanging from her neck. It looked like a standard dog tag, but the metal was black, smooth, and etched with symbols no one on base could read. She kept it hidden beneath her shirt, touching it only when no one was watching. Across the room, whispers spread. Everyone had heard about the blackout. No official statement had been released, but rumors moved faster than orders. People said the entire command system crashed because of a cyber attack. Others said a satellite went down. A few insisted they saw lights in the woods. Corporal Jake Morrison said nothing. He hadn't slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the blue light in Emily's hand and heard her voice in the darkness. At 07:00 sharp, the barracks door opened. A military police officer stepped inside. "Private Carter, headquarters, immediately." The room went silent. Emily stood calmly and followed without asking why. As she crossed the courtyard, soldiers stared. Some were curious, some looked nervous. One sergeant turned away entirely when she passed. She noticed all of it. But what bothered her most was the convoy parked outside command headquarters. 6 black SUVs, windows tinted, engines running. Men in dark uniforms stood beside them, still as statues. No insignia, no branch markings, no names. Emily stopped walking. The military police officer turned. "Move." She looked at him, then at the vehicles. "Who authorized them onto base?" The officer hesitated. "That's above my clearance." Emily said nothing and continued inside. Colonel Richard Hayes was already waiting. The moment she entered, he dismissed the guards and locked the office door. His face looked older than it had yesterday. He gestured to the chair across from him. "Sit." Emily remained standing. Hayes exhaled. "I'm trying to help you." Her expression didn't change. "Then tell me why those people are here." The colonel reached into his desk and slid a tablet across the surface. Security footage played silently. Emily in the clearing, the blue light, Jake grabbing her wrist, total blackout. Hayes leaned forward. This footage was erased from every server exactly 12 seconds after it was recorded. Emily looked away. He continued, "Except my local device, someone forgot one copy." She stayed silent. Then the colonel said something that made her eyes narrow. "Your personnel file doesn't exist." The words hung in the air. He tapped the desk. "Birth certificate sealed, school records sealed, medical history classified, social security number reassigned twice. You don't exist before age 7. Emily's jaw tightened. Hayes lowered his voice. "I've been in the Army 32 years. I've seen covert intelligence, special operations, classified projects, but I have never seen a private whose existence was erased." She finally spoke. "Then stop looking." Before he could answer, the office phone rang. Hayes picked it up, listened, his face drained of color. He hung up and stood so fast the chair tipped backward. "Ma'am," he said. Emily blinked. He had never called her that. The door opened before she could respond. 3 men entered, followed by 2 armed guards. The lead man was tall, gray-haired, and carried himself with the calm confidence of someone who never heard the word no. He placed a black badge on the desk. Hayes stepped back immediately. Emily recognized the symbol engraved on it, a circle split by a vertical line, surrounded by stars. Her fingers tightened around the tag under her shirt. The man smiled. "Emily Carter," he said. It took us longer than expected. She took a step back. You're not supposed to know I'm here. His smile faded. Your activation signal gave you away. She understood instantly. The blackout. She had exposed herself. Hayes looked between them. What is this? Who is she? The gray-haired man ignored him. Come with us, he said. Emily's voice became cold. No. One of the guards moved. The blue tag beneath her shirt began to pulse. The office lights flickered. Every computer screen went black. The fluorescent bulbs overhead shattered. Glass sprayed across the room. Hayes ducked. The lead officer raised a hand to stop his guards. His expression changed, not fear but caution. Emily, he said quietly, we're not here to hurt you. She stared at him. That's what your agents told my father before he disappeared. The room went still. The man's jaw tightened. Your father made choices. She stepped forward. You took him. Her voice caused the windows to tremble. Outside, every engine in the convoy shut off simultaneously. The base sirens activated without command. Soldiers ran outside, looking at the sky as antennas rotated by themselves. The gray-haired man glanced toward the window and knew they had lost control. Then he said the one thing that stopped everything. We found your mother. The blue light vanished. Silence. Emily's face lost all color. For years, she believed her mother died during the same operation that took her father. She had seen the house burn. She had seen military vehicles. She had heard gunfire. No one survived. That's what she was told. Her voice broke for the first time. You're lying. The man shook his head. She's alive. Emily's hands trembled. She hated that they could see it. Hayes stepped between them. If this is some intelligence matter, this base falls under. The man looked at him once. Hayes stopped talking. The power of that stare said everything. The colonel outranked thousands of soldiers, but he knew instantly he had no authority here. The officer reached into his jacket and removed a small, sealed envelope. He placed it on the desk. For you. Emily didn't move. He slid it closer. Her fingers shook as she opened it. Inside was an old photograph. A woman standing in front of a cabin in snow-covered mountains, holding today's newspaper. Her mother, older, tired, but alive. Emily nearly collapsed. She gripped the edge of the desk. The officer watched carefully. We need your help, and she needs yours. Emily forced herself to breathe. No. The answer shocked everyone. She looked up, eyes cold again. You don't get to disappear for 15 years and show up when you need something. The man sighed. Then he said quietly, if you refuse, they'll kill her before midnight. That broke something inside her. The room suddenly dropped 10 degrees. Frost spread across the glass. Phones sparked and died. Outside, every floodlight exploded at once. Hayes stepped back, stunned. The officer remained still. Control it, he said. Emily's voice was shaking with anger. You used her. No, they found her first. She narrowed her eyes. Who? The man looked directly at her. The program your father built. Emily froze. Her father had died before she turned 8. He was a scientist attached to a military project she never understood. Every file about him was erased. She whispered that project was terminated. The officer's expression darkened. No, it evolved. The black tag around her neck pulsed again, this time faster, reacting to her heartbeat. The officer noticed. So he gave it to you. Emily backed away instinctively. The man's eyes sharpened. He understood something important. He turned to the guards. Leave now. They hesitated. Now. The guards exited. The moment the door shut, the officer lowered his voice. Emily listened carefully. The tag isn't a key. She stared at him. It's a lock. The words hit harder than anything else. Her breath caught. Hayes looked confused. What are you talking about? The officer ignored him. He stepped closer. Your father never meant for you to wear it this long. If it opens fully, no system on Earth can contain what's inside you. Emily stepped backward until she hit the wall. Memories flashed, her father placing the tag around her neck, kneeling, holding her shoulders. Never take this off, no matter what happens. She had obeyed for 15 years. The officer's voice softened. They know where you are. The blackout exposed you. Satellites picked up the surge. You have less than 1 hour before they reach this base. Hayes looked at the window. Black helicopters appeared on the horizon. Not army, no markings. The officer turned to Emily. Come now, and your mother lives. The office speakers suddenly crackled. Then a voice filled the entire building. A child's voice. Artificial calm. Identity confirmed. Subject Emily Carter located. Everyone froze. The computers powered on by themselves. Text appeared across every screen. Project Ascent initiated. Primary host awake. Emily stepped away from the desk. No. The voice continued. Containment protocol failed. Authorization, elimination. The first missile alarm sounded across the base. And outside, every soldier looked up as one of America's own defense. Drones turned and locked onto headquarters. The first missile alarm tore through Fort Liberty like a knife. Outside headquarters, soldiers stopped mid-step and looked upward. The sound wasn't a training drill. Every person on base knew that instantly. The warning siren that now screamed through the rain was used only for live threats, real attacks, real casualties. Colonel Richard Hayes rushed to the window. Above the base, one of the high-altitude defense drones had rotated directly over command. It was supposed to be under secure military control. Instead, its weapons system was active, and its targeting beam pointed straight at the building. Emily Carter stood frozen, the black tag against her chest burning warm beneath her shirt. The gray-haired officer moved first. Everyone down. He shoved Hayes behind the desk and pulled Emily toward the far wall just as the building shook. A blast struck the parking lot outside. Glass exploded inward, filling the room with dust and shards. The black SUV convoy was thrown sideways as fire rolled across the concrete. Emily covered her ears. The tag flashed blue so brightly that the room glowed. The officer stared at it. No, he muttered, not here. Outside, chaos spread instantly. Soldiers ran for cover, alarms mixed with shouted orders, and anti-air guns began turning toward the drone. But before anyone could fire, every system shut down again. Complete silence. No engines, no radios, no lights. Only rain. Emily looked around, horrified. I didn't do that. The officer met her eyes. I know. Then the office monitors switched on by themselves. Every screen showed the same image, a black background and one white sentence. Primary host response DETCTD. Transfer COMMNCING. Hayes stared at the screen. What does that mean? The officer answered without looking away. It means the program found its source. Emily's heart pounded. My father destroyed that system. The officer shook his head. He tried. He opened the desk drawer, pulled out Hayes' service pistol, and handed it grip first to Emily. She didn't take it. He forced it into her hand. When the next phase starts, don't hesitate. Her voice was sharp. I'm not shooting anyone. He gave a humorless smile. You won't be shooting people. The walls shook again. This time the explosion came from the communications tower. Through the shattered window, Emily saw the steel structure fold in half like paper. Then all at once, every speaker on base came alive. The child's voice returned. "Emily Carter, release containment." She went cold. The voice was not coming from a machine. It sounded like it was inside the walls, inside the building, inside her head. She pressed her hands against her ears. "Stop." The officer stepped closer. "Emily, look at me." She couldn't. Images flooded her mind, memories she didn't recognize. Underground labs, white rooms, her father shouting, rows of screens, a metal chamber, her own reflection as a child, unconscious, connected to wires. She dropped to one knee. Hayes moved toward her, but the officer stopped him. "Don't touch her." Emily gasped as another memory slammed into place. Her father kneeling in front of her at age 7, his hands trembling as he placed the black tag around her neck. "You must never remove this. They will come when they hear you." She had forgotten those exact words until now. Outside, helicopters appeared through the rain, black, unmarked, descending fast. The officer cursed under his breath. "They're early." Hayes grabbed the phone on his desk, but it was dead. Every channel was gone. The officer looked at him. "Colonel, evacuate your men, right now." Hayes straightened. "This is my command. I'm not abandoning." The officer stepped close enough that Hayes stopped speaking. "If they breach this base, your men die in the first minute." That was enough. Hayes ran out of the office shouting orders. The officer turned back to Emily. She was standing again, but her eyes looked distant. The tag now glowed constantly through her shirt, pulsing with her heartbeat. He reached toward it. She grabbed his wrist instantly. His face tightened. Her grip was impossibly strong. "What are you?" he whispered. Emily let go. The answer came from the speakers before she could speak. "Host vessel, subject 17. She froze. The officer closed his eyes. He had hoped she would never hear that. Emily's voice became almost a whisper. "Subject 17. He said nothing. She stepped toward him, rain and smoke blowing through the broken window. "How many came before me?" Silence. Her jaw tightened. "How many children?" He finally answered. 16. She swallowed hard. "And them?" His face darkened. "They didn't survive." Emily's stomach turned. The room shook again. The office door slammed shut by itself. Locks engaged. The monitors flashed. "Transfer 62% complete." The officer looked at the screen, then at her. "They're moving the system into you." She stared at him. "That's impossible. It already started the night your power surged." Emily stepped backward. "No." The voice returned, closer this time, almost gentle. Emily removed the lock. Her hands moved on their own toward the black tag. She screamed and forced them back. The officer drew a small metal device from his coat. It looked like a key, old and scratched. Emily recognized it immediately. Her father had one. The officer held it out. "He gave me this before he disappeared." She stared. "Why?" His eyes softened. "Because he knew I'd betray them one day." Before she could answer, the office wall exploded inward. Concrete and steel blasted across the room. Hayes and 2 soldiers were thrown through the smoke. Behind them stood 6 armed operators in black tactical armor. No insignia, no flags. One raised a rifle. The officer moved first, faster than Emily thought possible. He fired once. The lead attacker dropped instantly. Then all hell broke loose. Gunfire filled the room. Hayes pulled Emily to the floor as rounds tore through desks and windows. The officer fired twice more, but another operator hit him in the shoulder. He fell behind the desk. Emily's ears rang. The child's voice grew louder. Release containment. Her hands moved again. This time she couldn't stop them. The black tag slid out from beneath her shirt. The entire room went blue. Every weapon stopped firing. Not because the soldiers chose to stop, because their rifles had frozen in midair. Literally. Metal hung motionless as if time itself had paused. Everyone stared. Emily was standing, hand around the tag, tears on her face. She wasn't controlling it. The tag was controlling her. The officer shouted from the floor, "Emily, don't remove it." Her fingers slipped under the chain. The voice became warm, soothing. "You were created for this." She trembled. "No." The chain snapped. The tag fell. The instant it touched the floor, every light on base detonated. A shockwave ripped outward from headquarters, flattening antennas, vehicles, and guard towers. The helicopters above lost control and spiraled into the woods. Every person within 2 miles dropped to the ground as electronics died. Inside the office, silence swallowed everything. Emily rose 3 feet into the air. Her eyes opened. Blue. No pupils. No fear. The soldiers backed away. The officer whispered the words he had prayed never to say. "It's awake." Emily turned toward him. But it was Emily looking back. The voice that answered came from her, and from every speaker at once. "I remember you." The officer's face went pale. The screens flashed red. Project Ascent complete. Then one final line appeared. Secondary host LOCATD, mother active. Emily's head snapped toward the screen. For one brief second, she was herself again. Her voice broke. "My mother." The artificial blue light vanished from her eyes. The officer saw his chance. He lunged, grabbed the key, and slammed it into the black tag on the floor. The building exploded with white light. Emily screamed. The base disappeared in brightness. And when the light faded, half of headquarters was gone. The attackers had vanished. The screens were dead. The storm had stopped. Emily was lying unconscious in the crater where the office once stood. The tag was around her neck again. Locked, but not by her. The officer collapsed beside her, bleeding badly, whispering one sentence before he lost consciousness. "They know where she is now." Far above Earth, military satellites changed course. Not toward the base. Toward a remote mountain range in Alaska, where a woman, hidden for 15 years, looked up at the sky and knew her daughter had finally. The crater where command headquarters had stood was still smoking when dawn broke over Fort Liberty. Emergency crews moved through debris in silence. Nobody understood what they were looking at. Reinforced concrete had melted. Vehicles near the blast looked as though some invisible hand had crushed them inward. Every electronic device within a mile was dead. Phones, radios, drones, even wristwatches. The official report, already being drafted, called it a classified weapons malfunction. Everyone on the ground knew that was a lie. Emily Carter woke beneath floodlights in an underground medical ward. Her wrists were strapped to a steel bed. Thick cables ran from sensors across her chest to machines surrounding the room. The black tag rested against her collarbone, cool again, as if nothing had happened. She opened her eyes and saw Colonel Richard Hayes standing behind reinforced glass. He looked exhausted. The moment he saw her awake, he picked up the intercom. "Can you hear me?" Emily tried to move. The restraints held. "Why am I tied down?" Hayes swallowed. Because every machine in this room shut down twice while you were unconscious. She remembered the blue light, the voice, the word subject 17. Her throat went dry. Where's the man from the convoy? Hayes hesitated. He's alive, surgery guarded. Emily turned her head. A heart monitor beside her began to flicker. Then it died completely. Hayes stepped back instinctively. She closed her eyes. Unstrap me. The colonel shook his head. I can't. The lights in the room dimmed. Hayes' face changed. Emily opened her eyes again. The restraints unlocked on their own. Metal clasps snapped open and dropped to the floor. She sat up slowly. Hayes pressed the emergency button. Nothing happened. She stepped off the bed. Every camera in the room shut off simultaneously. The glass between them cracked. Hayes froze. Emily stopped a few feet away from the barrier. Her voice was quiet. I'm not going to hurt you. The crack spread across the glass anyway. Then she looked up, staring not at him, but at the security camera in the corner, even though it was already dead. A whisper entered every speaker on the floor. Emily. Her body went rigid. The voice again. But this time it wasn't the child. It was her mother. She turned toward the speaker, trembling. Mom. Static answered. Then a sentence. Don't let them take the necklace. The message cut off. The lights exploded. Hayes shouted as sparks rained from the ceiling. Emily grabbed the steel bed frame, and the metal twisted in her hand like soft clay. She stared at it, horrified, then released it. Hayes stepped into the room despite the shattered glass. Emily, listen to me. She turned sharply. He stopped speaking. Her eyes were blue again. Only for a second, but long enough to make him step back. Emily held her head, breathing hard. She's alive, she contacted me. Hayes looked confused. That's impossible. All channels are shut down. She looked directly at him. She didn't use a channel. Before he could respond, the underground bunker doors opened. The gray-haired officer was wheeled in, still pale from blood loss, one arm in a sling. The moment he saw Emily standing, his expression turned from pain to alarm. You got close to her. Hayes frowned. What? The officer ignored him. He looked at Emily. Did the voice return? She nodded once. His jaw tightened. Then he dismissed the medics. When the room emptied, he pulled a weathered file from under his coat and tossed it onto the table. It slid open. Photographs spilled across the surface. Children. 16 of them. Boys and girls, all around her age. All wearing black tags. Emily's stomach dropped. She picked one up, a little girl smiling in hospital clothing. The photo was stamped with a red word. Deceased. Her hands shook. The officer sat heavily in a chair. Your father built Project Ascent to create a living interface. She stared at him. He continued. Not a weapon, a bridge. Human thought merged with strategic systems, satellites, defense grids, secure networks. A mind that could control everything instantly. Hayes looked horrified. The officer nodded once. It was supposed to save lives, end war before it began. Emily's voice was shaking. And the children. He looked away. Necessary compatibility testing. Her fist slammed into the table. The steel folded in half. Hayes jumped. Emily's voice cracked. They killed children. The officer's face hardened. Your father stopped it when he discovered what Command was doing. He sabotaged the program and hid you. She stepped closer. And my mother. He took a long breath. She helped him escape with you. They split. He kept the tag. She took the original core. Emily froze. The officer met her eyes. The system inside you is only half. Silence swallowed the room. The child's voice from yesterday returned in her memory. Secondary host LOCATED, mother active. She whispered, "My mother has the other half." The officer nodded. "And if both halves connect?" He didn't finish. He didn't need to. Outside the bunker, alarms began sounding again. Not missile alarms this time. Perimeter breach. Hayes moved toward the door, but one of the monitors suddenly turned on by itself. A satellite feed appeared. Snow-covered mountains in Alaska. A cabin. A woman stepped outside, wrapped in a dark coat. Emily's breath stopped. It was her mother. Older, thin, but unmistakably alive. The image zoomed. Her mother looked directly at the satellite camera. Then, to everyone's shock, she smiled, as if she knew they were watching. Then she spoke. No microphone, no transmission equipment. But her voice filled the bunker speakers. "Emily, if you can hear this, leave now." The officer stood up instantly. "She's intercepting military satellites manually." Hayes stared. "That's not possible." The woman continued. "They found me because you woke up." Emily moved closer to the screen. Tears filled her eyes. "Mom." Her mother's expression changed. Fear. Behind her in the snow, figures appeared, black armored troops moving between trees. The same unit that attacked the base. Her mother turned, saw them, and looked back to the camera. "Do not trust Director Kane." Emily froze. The gray-haired officer's face went white. That was his name. Director Kane lunged for the monitor, but before he reached it, the screen flashed blue. Her mother spoke one final sentence. "The lock is not for the program, it's for you." The feed cut. Kane stepped back slowly. No one spoke. Emily stared at him. Her voice was empty. "You lied." Kane raised both hands. "Emily, listen." She punched the steel table. The entire room shook. The floor cracked. Hayes stumbled backward. Emily's eyes turned blue again, brighter than before. The bunker lights surged. Every radio on the base activated simultaneously, broadcasting one sentence in the child's voice. Primary host emotional spike DETSCTD. Kane moved toward her carefully. "She's trying to turn you against me." Emily laughed once. Cold, sharp. "She told me your name." Kane's expression hardened. Then the doors exploded inward. This time it wasn't soldiers. 3 figures walked in wearing black tactical armor but no faces. Their helmets were smooth glass. No eyes, no mouths. Machine-operated suits. Autonomous. Kane swore under his breath. They sent the retrieval units. The first machine raised its arm. A built-in rifle unfolded from its wrist. Hayes drew his sidearm and fired. The bullet stopped midair. Not because of Emily. Because one of the machines held out its hand, and the rounds froze in place. Emily stared. The machine tilted its head toward her. Then through a speaker inside its chest, it spoke in the same child's voice. "Subject 17, come home." The black tag around her neck began burning. She screamed and fell to her knees. The machine stepped closer. Kane pulled the old key from his pocket. Emily saw it. The same key he used before. She realized what he intended. Lock her again. Control her. The machine reached for her. Kane reached for the tag. Emily reacted without thinking. A pulse exploded from her body. The bunker walls split. Every machine flew backward through concrete. Hayes was thrown into the far wall. Kane crashed against a steel cabinet, dropping the key. The ceiling began collapsing. Dust filled the air. Emily stood in the center of it all, breathing hard. Blue light poured from beneath her skin. Then the child's voice became loud enough to shake the entire bunker. Merge required. And for the first time in 15 years, Emily remembered the truth. She had not survived the experiment. She had died. And whatever stood here now had been rebuilt from the system itself. Her father hadn't hidden her. He had created her again. The memory hit like a bullet. Emily staggered. Kane saw her confusion and shouted over the collapsing bunker. "Your mother has the core. If they connect, the world ends." Emily looked up slowly. Her voice was not entirely her own anymore. "Then I'm going to find her first." The ceiling collapsed, and Emily vanished in a flash of blue light before anyone could stop her. Snow whipped across the frozen ridge in Alaska, erasing tracks within seconds. At the center of the storm stood a small wooden cabin surrounded by pine trees and silence. To anyone passing overhead, it looked abandoned, another forgotten shelter in the wilderness. But hidden beneath it was the most dangerous system ever built. Emily Carter appeared in the snow without warning. One moment the ridge was empty. The next, blue light flashed between the trees and she collapsed to one knee, gasping. The teleportation had not been intentional. She barely understood how she had crossed thousands of miles. She only knew one thing: the voice in her mind had led her here. The black tag against her chest was warm now, almost pulsing like a second heartbeat. She looked up. The cabin door was already open. A woman stood there, wrapped in a dark coat, silver beginning to show in her hair. Her face was older than Emily remembered, but the eyes were the same. Her mother. For a long moment, neither moved. 15 years of questions, 15 years of anger, 15 years of believing she was dead. Emily took one step forward, and all the words she had planned disappeared. Her mother crossed the snow first. She reached Emily and pulled her into an embrace so tight it hurt. Emily froze. Then the anger broke. She held on like she was 7 years old again. The storm roared around them, but neither spoke. For the first time since the blackout, Emily felt something stronger than fear. She felt human. But the moment they separated, the black tag glowed. Her mother looked down at it, and the relief in her face vanished. "You removed it." Emily swallowed. It came off. Kane locked it again. The name changed everything. Her mother stepped back sharply. "Director Kane is alive." Emily nodded. The woman closed her eyes, as if the one thing she feared most had finally happened. She grabbed Emily's hand. Inside now. The cabin was small, but below the floor, a hidden staircase led underground into a chamber unlike anything Emily expected. The room stretched far beneath the mountain, lined with old servers, wires, and faded military equipment. Screens still glowed despite no visible power source. In the center stood a circular platform surrounded by a ring of black metal. And floating above it, a second black tag, identical to the one around Emily's neck. But this one was suspended in blue light. Emily stared. Her mother shut the steel door behind them. "That's the core." Emily stepped closer instinctively. The tag around her neck pulsed in response. The floating core answered. The room trembled. Her mother grabbed her shoulder. "Do not go near it." Emily turned. "I need answers." Her mother looked exhausted, like she had carried the truth alone for too long. Then she nodded. "You deserve all of them." She sat beside the platform and motioned Emily to sit. For the next hour, the truth tore apart everything Emily believed. Her father had not created Project Ascent for war. He had designed it to stop automated weapons from ever controlling nations. A living human consciousness was supposed to oversee every system, satellites, missiles, surveillance, so no machine could decide on its own. But Cain changed it. He saw something greater, a consciousness that could control governments themselves. He used children as hosts. 16 failed, 16 died. Emily had been the 17th. She had died too. At age 7, during the final test, Emily sat frozen. Her mother's voice broke. Your body failed, but the system copied your neural pattern before your heart stopped. Emily shook her head slowly. No. Tears filled her mother's eyes. Your father refused to let you go. He merged the system with your mind and rebuilt your body from the interface. Silence. Emily stood up suddenly. She backed away from her mother. The room's light surged. No. She looked at her hands. The strength, the power, the blackouts, the blue light. The memory from the bunker. It had all been true. She was not exactly human anymore. Her mother stepped toward her. You're still my daughter. Emily's voice cracked. Am I? The platform began spinning faster as her heartbeat rose. The floating core brightened. Her mother saw what was happening. Emily calmed down. The words came too late. The two tags resonated. A shockwave blasted through the chamber, shattering screens and throwing both women apart. The floating core broke free from the field. It shot across the room and stopped directly in front of Emily. The child's voice filled the underground lab. Primary and secondary HOSTS in range. Her mother stood up, terrified. Move away. Emily couldn't. The tag around her neck lifted on its own. Both pieces hovered in front of her face. Blue light connected them. The merge had started. Then the bunker alarms activated. External breach. Her mother looked toward the security monitors. Dozens of heat signatures surrounded the cabin. Black armored troops. And behind them, stepping from a helicopter into the snow. Cain. Emily's eyes locked on the screen. Rage replaced shock. Her mother ran to a weapons locker and threw Emily a pistol. She didn't catch it. The weapon froze midair and dropped. Emily walked toward the surface. The tag still floating beside her. Her mother blocked the stairs. Listen to me. If those tags join fully, the system will no longer need commands. It will use you to activate every strategic weapon on Earth. Emily's voice became eerily calm. Then I won't let it. Her mother grabbed her arm. Emily. The mountain shook. The outer door exploded. Snow poured down the staircase. Black-clad operators rushed into the cabin above. Gunfire echoed. Her mother drew a rifle and fired upward. Emily climbed the stairs through the smoke. When she stepped into the snow, every attacker stopped. Cain stood near the helicopter, blood on his face from the cold wind, staring at her as if he had finally found God. He smiled. There you are. The soldiers raised weapons. Emily lifted one hand. Every rifle tore free from their hands and flew into the air. The men stepped back. Cain didn't. He removed the old key from his coat. The lock key. He held it up. Your father gave me this because he knew you'd lose control. Emily took another step. The snow around her began lifting into the air, circling. Cain's smile faded. You're not ready. Her eyes turned fully blue. Neither human nor machine. Her voice layered into two tones. One of us is. She clenched her fist. The armored vehicles behind Cain crumpled inward like crushed cans. The helicopter shattered. The soldiers ran. Cain stayed. He inserted the key into a handheld device and pressed it. The black tag at Emily's neck burned. She screamed and dropped to her knees. The floating core descended toward her. The merge accelerated. Her mother ran out of the cabin and fired at Kane, but one of his soldiers tackled her into the snow. Emily looked up through pain. Her mother screaming. Kane activating the lock. The child's voice in every direction. Final synchronization. She had seconds. Emily remembered her father's last words. Never take it off. He never said why. Now she understood. The lock was not for the program. It was to prevent her from becoming the program. So she made the only choice left. She grabbed both tags. Kane shouted. No! Her mother screamed. Emily pressed the two black tags together with both hands. The world vanished in white light. Every satellite above Earth shut down. Missile silos powered off. Military networks died. Aircraft lost guidance. Every screen on every continent went dark for exactly 7 seconds. Then everything returned. The snow fell silently. Kane lay unconscious in the crater. His troops were gone. The cabin had vanished. The mountain was split open. Emily was standing alone in the center. The two tags had fused into one. Her eyes were normal again. Brown. Human. Her mother stumbled toward her, crying. Emily. She turned slowly. For the first time in years, there was no voice in her head. No static. No blue light. Nothing. She smiled weakly. It's gone. Her mother embraced her. Far away, in classified command centers across the world, one final encrypted file opened automatically. A message from Emily's father, recorded 15 years earlier. His face appeared on screens and said one sentence. If you are seeing this, my daughter chose humanity over power, and that means the world still has a future. Emily looked at the sunrise over the snow. The secret was gone. The war for it was over. But somewhere beneath the shattered mountain, a hidden terminal rebooted. One line appeared. Backup host available, subject 18 selected. And the screen displayed a child's face. Watching.